Uh, Obviously excited to be back home, and especially with a group that has found a way at the right time of year, being 2-0, but playing a team that's got me the last two times in Florida. And they start with the three-headed monsters, the three McDonald All-Americans, who their three players are as good as anybody in the country, and Liv McGill, who's up for National Point Guard of the Year. O'Neal, and then Layla Reynolds, who I recruited very hard in the high school process and think the world of her, are big-time players. So this is going to be a huge game, and if we're going to have a huge game, there's no better place to be than the hump. And so I'm reaching out to, again, all our fan bases that had that energy like we did with close to 5,000 against Missouri. We're going to need the same energy here come Thursday in a crucial part of our season where we're right there. And like I always say, there's no better time to come and attend and cheer on a team than a team that's fighting to get into the NCAA. And your energy at home is definitely that six-man energy that we're going to need. So from the bottom of my heart, come on, Bulldog fans. Let's do what we do well, and let's support these young ladies as we only got 2 home games left, and let's make it 2 great memories for these young ladies.
Awa, maybe doesn't play consistently a lot of minutes, but had the big game against Arkansas. Just what have you seen from her, maybe behind the scenes in practice and such, that she's been working on to have that big game?
Yeah, we talked about it with our team yesterday in the locker room, was just her mindset. And I mentioned it to you all after games. Her and Melissa, when they don't play, they're in the gym shooting. I've never seen nothing like it, where most kids are just upset, and I always tell them they have the right to be mad and be like, Coach ain't playing me. That's human nature, right? And be excuses. They're like, okay, I'm going to be ready when my number's called. And the staff and us, we sat down and talked. We were like, man, Awa's really been having great practices. She's doing everything that we ask. And we said, hey, if the situation presents itself in the Arkansas game, we're going to call her number, just because we feel really good about how she's been playing and gave us no problems. And it was just cool to see all the hard work that she's been doing behind the scene. When given the opportunity, she sees the moment, and that's what sports is all about. And you can't help but cheer for young ladies like that. And I made sure my team recognized the effort that she's been doing, because some of the times in practice, it's not been necessarily just playing well. She's been on the practice team, going against our team to make sure we can win. So I think all of us were clapping yesterday and we're on our feet when we recognized her, because, again, that just shows you what kind of character that young lady has and how we're wanting the best for her. So it was cool to see that moment come up.
I know you were upset with the turnover numbers the other night, but
22.
But you guys had a really prolific night shooting three-pointers.
Yeah.
What did you see from your team in that respect?
Yeah, just a lot of hard work. We talked about, we had that speech, starting January 1st again, is what are you willing to sacrifice? And we talked about that earlier, just the hours in the gym. All the teams you're going against are on scholarship, but what's going to separate you? And again, just a tip of my hat to our young ladies who are constantly in the gym, whether it's Melissa and Awa after a game, or even on an off day. I've told you, some of my kids are just making sure they get 30-minute workouts to stay ready and stay the course. And Arkansas decided to clog the paint and give us nothing and dared us to shoot. And boy, did we seize the moment with 14 threes, I believe, that game. And it was just really cool to see our young ladies stay balanced, and especially in a game that we talked about, which I told y'all, in the South Carolina game, I think we were 3 for 22, that it was just one of those games. And it's good to see they make me look smart, because it was just one of those games, because the last 2 games we've really shot the ball well.
I think maybe one of Maddie's underrated skills is just her motor and like stamina and conditioning, and her ability to play pretty much the whole game, and sometimes be picking up full court defensively and stuff like that.
Facts.
Was that something that she came in here and was already pretty well shaped in that regard, or is that something that has really worked on a lot when she got here in the summer and stuff?
Yeah, so obviously she's been a phenomenal athlete who has skills or an athleticism you can't coach. It's just the genes of her 2 parents and her Buffalo toughness. I think some of that is too. This is a kid that we joked throughout the year. She's like, Coach, I'm just glad it's warm right now. Because at this time up there, you can't even see the ground, and we're always talking about the Buffalo Bills and the snow, and she's just got a happy spirit. But I think there's something to be said coming from that environment, because it is colder and you got to be tougher, and I think that's why that kid's DNA is so tough like it is. And then a shout out to my strength coach. Katie Jones is one of the best in the country. So the activities they do first and foremost with her her and Taylor to make sure, one, she's healthy, and because that's part of the problem, right? To be able to play that many minutes, you've got to be healthy, and she's been banged up, but healthy enough to play. But two, pushing her in a conditioning program to play that amount of minutes. I think she's also taken her athleticism along with Katie's instructions to be this person that we're watching at the highest of high right now, which is really cool.
Going off that, she seems to be shooting the ball a lot better, especially from three-point range.
Yeah.
Have you seen her improve in that regard?
Yeah, so we just talked about it, the elephant in the room. I said, Maddie, you're one of the best players in the country, but, we do a breakdown with Samantha Williams with a player development sheet. If we're an opposing coach, what are they doing to guard you? And my whole philosophy ever has been this as an assistant. It's called change your scouts. All right, here's where you're good at, but here's where you need to get better. Let's work on your weaknesses, and that's what player development is. And I give her credit. She's been working with Tony Dukes every day after practice, making a certain amount of threes. And then now there's a swag and confidence about her and a poise that she's making them at a high rate, which now has changed the scout. And most importantly, helped us win some big games. So it's really cool to see.
Liv McGill's, second in the SEC in scoring. Just what stands out when you watch her play?
Woo! First and foremost, a smooth operator. I love that kid. I recruited her at Louisville back in high school. She's our USA under-19 point guard. All right, she's just a phenomenal player that outside of scoring, what's scary and it's fun for our fans. I know fans have to determine what games they're coming to and not. This one's good not only because my team's right there in the NCAA tournament, but you're watching, again, one of the best point guards in the country. Outside of scoring, it's her ball handling. That she has that thing on a rope. She doesn't get phased. Vanderbilt tried to trap her. It didn't matter. She's dribbling out of it. I mean, it's amazing to see her skills. Her passing is tremendous. And then to your point, she's a winner. She's a dog. So if she sees a gap, she'll stop and go. She'll take you off the bounce. She has a nose for the ball like Maddie's does, where she can see a steal opportunity come, and she goes and makes that play, which allows great, easy scoring opportunities. So that you could just see me describing her alone is why I am high alert and have high respect for this matchup, because when you've got one of the best players in the country, we got to bring it because obviously she's the head of the snake that's going to make sure they come here on Thursday night.
And how about just the rest of the Florida team? What just stands out in the scouting report?
Yeah, athletes. Have I mentioned athletes yet? Athletes. Again, Layla Reynolds is one of the best long wings in the country. When she gets in the open court, I've got to catch myself from just watching her. She flies and just glides at the rim like no other. O'Neal, obviously, we all know about her, Shaq's daughter, right? She's shooting at an unbelievable rate this year at 37%, which is phenomenal for a big. And then they just done a great job, kind of like us, going with a global roster with young ladies from all over the country that have great athleticism. And again, it's another opponent that you got to throw out their record. The SEC is a beast. We're all several games where you could sit here if the ball bounced a couple of different ways that you could be easily talking about a team that could have above 500 record. Especially when I watched their film when they just lost to number 10, Oklahoma, at Oklahoma, 81-74. How many times do I keep telling you, you got the ranked opponents, then we got the opponents who aren't, but we're all beating each other up and it's close, even like Arkansas. That's a 9-point game against a team that hasn't won a game. And again, that doesn't happen in every other conference but ours. So we've got to bring it. It's going to be an absolute war, and they're coming off a bye week. That's the other thing that's different about this matchup. I'm going to take some ownership for that Missouri loss. Missouri was off after we played Tennessee. I practiced Friday and Saturday, and we played Sunday. And I thought after watching the film that Missouri was a step quicker. So we did not practice yesterday, all right, because obviously we played on Monday, not Sunday. So it's even more less rest. So I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure we can match the athleticism and quick step of Florida. But at the same time, obviously concerned because that's one less day of practice and putting a plan together what we need to do. So I'm really excited to see if our girls can take on a mental scout. And then just today will be one day prep and see if we can't put a product on the floor to get a huge win. Thank you. Yep. Y'all have a great day.